Picture this, 4 in the morning. Your phone screen burns blue in a pitch-dark room. You didn't wake up from an alarm. A push notification dragged you out of sleep. Markets down 7%. Trump announces new tariffs. Your stomach drops like an elevator with a cut cable. Cold sweat crawls down your palms as you swipe open your brokerage app. Red. Everything red. Arrows down. Numbers melting like candles in a house fire. The savings you spent 3 years building just lost more than you earn in 4 months. And right here, right in this heartbeat, you make a decision that will echo through the next decade of your life. Markets are bleeding. Trump's trade war just tightened another notch. 25% on China, 15% on European steel. Brussels retaliates. Beijing threatens worse. Every suit on every channel screams the same word. Sell. Get out. Run. But none of them tell you this. If you panic right now, or worse, if you try to get clever and trade the chaos, you will lose everything, every last cent. Not because the market is evil, because your own hands will do the damage. 63% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency. These aren't numbers on a page. These are real people staring at red screens right now, about to make the worst financial decision of their lives. If you want to see how this story ends, and trust me, it ends 3 completely different ways. Hit subscribe, because what Wojak does next will cost him more than he earns in a year. Now meet Wojak. His palms are already wet. Wojak sits in his beat-up pickup in a Walmart parking lot, engine running. Air conditioner pushing warm air because the compressor quit last August and there's no cash to fix it. His shift starts in 15 minutes, but he can't put the phone down. Those $2,000 he saved over 8 months, skipping lunches, killing his Netflix, promising his girlfriend they'd eat at home, just shrank 11% overnight. Wojak does what scared people always do. He acts, sells everything. Right there, hands shaking so hard he nearly taps the wrong button, sells his entire position at the morning low, locks in a loss of $220, watches the cash land in his account. His hands stop trembling. He exhales, thinks, okay, at least I saved what I could. That exhale will cost him $4,000 by the time he turns 50. See? The market didn't steal his money. Wojak handed it over. Nothing changed about those companies overnight. Only the price tag changed. And Wojak made a permanent decision based on a temporary number. 3 months later, those same stocks trade higher than before the crash. Wojak's 2,000 would have been 2,300. Instead, he's sitting on 1,780 in a savings account earning almost nothing. He didn't just lose 220. He lost the 220 he locked in, plus 300 in missed growth, plus every dollar those gains would have snowballed into over the next 20 years. One decision, a parking lot, a cracked phone screen, and he'll never even know the real cost, because he'll never run the numbers. 3 months later, Wojak is on break at work, scrolling his phone. He sees his old stocks, back up, higher than when he sold them. He puts the phone face down on the break room table and stares at the ceiling for 30 seconds. Doesn't say a word. That moment will replay in his head for years. If this is already clicking for you, smash that like button. Takes half a second, costs nothing, and it helps one more person avoid what Wojak just did to himself. Now, Wojak's mistake looks almost reasonable compared to what happens next, because someone else saw the same crash and thought, this is my moment. This is where I get rich. His name is Wojak. And he's about to walk straight into a wood chipper. Wojak is the guy in every Reddit thread typing in all caps, buy the dip, to the moon. This time it's different. He's been binging financial videos for 6 months and he's absolutely convinced he cracked the code. While Wojak fears losing money, Wojak fears missing out. 2 different fears, same devastating ending. He sees the crash, sees defense stocks spiking while everything else bleeds. Green arrows in a sea of red. His brain fires like a slot machine hitting 777s. War means defense spending. Defense spending means these stocks go up. Simple, right? He scrolls past posts from panic sellers, sees Wojak types cutting their losses, smirks, amateurs. He's not like them. He's smart. He takes his last $2,000, every penny he owns. Opens his app with trembling fingers. Not from fear like Wojak, but from excitement, which is honestly worse. Buys defense stocks at the peak of the daily rally, the single most expensive moment of the entire day. For 90 minutes, he feels like the smartest creature alive. Then, the news turns. The EU signals willingness to negotiate. Tensions cool 1 degree. Defense stocks start sliding back. 3%, 5, 8. That excitement in his chest turns to battery acid. He tells himself to hold. Posts online that he's not selling. Gets a few likes. Feels better for 20 minutes. Next morning, another 6% down. He checks his balance 47 times before noon. By Wednesday, his 2,000 is 1,100. By Friday, he breaks. Sells everything at the bottom. Loss, $900. Almost half his money. Evaporated. Not because the market crashed, because he tried to be smarter than the market. And the market has been doing this longer than he's been breathing. The gap between doing nothing and doing something clever, $1,200. Gone. Because he thought he could read the future from a headline. And here's where the whole story flips upside down. There's a third creature who saw the same crash, felt the same fear, and ended up in a completely different universe. His name is Pepperoni, and right now, while Wojak stares at a break room ceiling and Wojak argues with strangers on Reddit, Pepperoni is sleeping. Here's why. And this part will either make you furious or set you free. You're probably thinking, sure, Wojak panicked, Wojak gambled, both lost, obvious. But here's what nobody teaches in school, and nobody says on the news. Missing out costs more than any crash. You put money into stocks, leave it, don't look at it, go live your life. Over 20 years, the market has averaged roughly 10% a year. Your money doubles about every 7 years. So 10,000 becomes roughly 80,000 in 20 years. By doing absolutely nothing. Now imagine you panicked during a crash. Pulled everything out. Sat on the sidelines waiting for things to settle. Sounds smart. Sounds safe. Here's the trap. The biggest up days almost always come right after the biggest down days. Always. This is 20 years of data. Miss just 10 days out of 5,000 trading days, and your return gets slashed nearly in half. 10 days out of 5,000. That's the entire margin between building wealth and running in place. You might be thinking, how do I know which days are the best? Exactly. You can't. Nobody can. Not fund managers, not computers, not the guy with laser eyes in his profile picture. And that's precisely why the only winning move is the one that sounds painfully boring. But boring has a name in this story. And right now, he's brewing coffee in his kitchen while the market burns outside. Let me show you exactly what Pepperoni does differently, and why the numbers will make you want to punch a wall for not starting sooner. Every crash in history has ended the same way, every single one. And yet every time, people convince themselves that this one is different. That this time the market won't come back. Let me show you why that belief is the most expensive mistake a human being can make. 1929. The Great Depression. The market lost nearly 90% of its value. 90. People lost everything. Families fell apart. The entire country went dark. It felt like the end of the world. And if you had put money in at the absolute worst possible moment, the peak right before the crash, and just left it there, gone fishing, forgotten about it for 20 years, you would have made money. Not just recovered. Made more than you started with. Now you're probably thinking, but Trump's tariffs are different. This is a trade war. This could break the pattern. And I hear you. Every crash feels like the end when you're inside it. That's the design. That's what makes it work as a wealth transfer machine. Because crashes don't destroy money. They move it. From the people who panic to the people who don't. Wojak's grandfather learned this the hard way. 2008. Housing collapse. He panic sold half his retirement at 62 years old. Had to work 7 more years just to get back to where he was. Wojak grew up hearing that story, swore he'd never make the same mistake. He made a worse one. .com crash, housing collapse, 2008, same panic, same recovery, same transfer of wealth from the scared to the still. And you know who was still during every single one of these? Pepperoni. Not because he's brave, not because he's smart, because his system doesn't require him to be either. 2020. COVID. The fastest crash in recorded history. Markets dropped 34% in 23 trading days. 23 days. Everyone was convinced the global economy was finished. Lockdowns everywhere. Businesses shutting down. Your neighbor hoarding toilet paper like it was currency. And then, the fastest recovery in history. Within 5 months, the market hit all-time highs. 5 months. The people who panic sold in March and waited for things to calm down. They missed a 40% rally, 40%, in 5 months. Pepperoni's automatic purchase went through in March. Same as February, same as April. He bought at the bottom without knowing it was the bottom, without trying, without even looking at his phone. That's the whole secret. There is no secret. There's just a system that removes you from the equation. Because you, your fear, your excitement, your need to do something, are the problem. But knowing history isn't enough. Knowing what El Pepperoni does differently, step by step, that's what separates the people who nod at this video and forget it by dinner from the people who actually change their lives. And his playbook is so simple, it's almost insulting. El Pepperoni doesn't trade, doesn't watch financial news, doesn't open his app. He does one thing. Every 2 weeks on payday, money moves automatically from his checking account into the market. He set this up once, 18 months ago. Took him 3 minutes. He hasn't touched it since. When the market drops, his money buys more. When it rises, his money buys less. Over time, this averages out into something beautiful. It's not sexy. It won't make a good story at a party. But it works. It has worked through every war, every recession, every panic, every crash for the last 100 years, without exception. Here are the numbers and they will hit you like a freight train. Wojak started with 2,000, tried to be clever. After the crash, 1,100. Wojak started with 2,000, panicked and sold. 1,780. El Pepperoni started with 0 18 months ago, put in money every 2 weeks like clockwork. After the same crash that destroyed the other two, his account sits above $19,000. And the shares he bought during the tariff panic, those are now his single most profitable position. He bought them on sale while everyone else was running for the exits. Same crash, same headlines, same fear, 3 outcomes that aren't even in the same universe. The only difference, El Pepperoni did less, made fewer decisions, opened his app fewer times, spent fewer hours thinking about money, did almost nothing, and came out ahead of both of them combined. El Pepperoni wasn't born this way. 3 years ago, he was checking his phone every hour. He was Wojak, panic selling, stress eating, losing sleep over red numbers. Then he found the exit. And the exit was so boring, it almost made him laugh. He stopped watching financial news, not because he's ignorant, because he realized it's designed to keep you scared so you keep watching. Fear is engagement. Panic is clicks. Every screaming headline exists because your anxiety is someone else's ad revenue. He checks his account once every 3 months. That's it, because every time you look, your brain whispers, do something, and doing something is what kills you. And he keeps 6 months of living expenses in boring cash, not to earn anything on it, to never be forced to sell investments during a panic. When Wojak's car breaks down, he has to liquidate stocks at a loss to cover repairs. When El Pepperoni's car breaks down, he pays from his cash cushion, and his investments keep growing untouched. That boring pile of cash is the reason he sleeps at night. It's the reason he never becomes Wojak. I call this the sleep test. It's the only financial strategy that fits in one sentence. If your investments keep you awake at night, you're doing it wrong. Wojak can't sleep because he sold everything and the regret is eating him alive. Wojak can't sleep because he's watching his positions bounce around at 3 in the morning like a gambler who can't leave the table. El Pepperoni sleeps like a baby, not because he's richer, because his system doesn't need him to be awake. Pull up any trading forum right now during this tariff crash. Thousands of people posting portfolio screenshots at 2 in the morning. These people aren't investing. They're poisoning themselves with a brokerage app. El Pepperoni isn't on those forums. He's not checking anything. He's asleep, or at work, or grilling burgers in his backyard. His money hit the account last Tuesday like it does every other Tuesday. The market was down that day, so his cash bought more than usual. He doesn't even know this happened. He'll find out in 20 years when he opens his account and sees a number that makes his jaw hit the floor. Right now, you're either going to set this up tonight or tell yourself you'll do it Monday. Wojak has been saying Monday for 3 years. El Pepperoni spent 3 minutes once and never thought about it again. Take your phone, open any brokerage app. If you don't have one, it takes 3 minutes to set up. Create an automatic transfer from your checking account. Pick an amount you won't miss. $50 every 2 weeks, $100, whatever you've got. Same schedule as your paycheck. Then remove the app from your home screen. Better yet, delete it. You can always re-download it. But every time you see those numbers, your brain gets a chance to override your strategy with emotion. Don't give it that chance. And there's one more thing El Pepperoni does that costs $0. It's the reason he never panics. Ever. Not during COVID, not during tariffs, not once. That 6 months of cash sitting in a boring savings account, it's not an investment. It's a force field. It means no crisis can force him to sell at the wrong time. Build that cushion before you invest a single dollar. That's not advice. That's the foundation everything else stands on. Now let me take you back to where we started. 4 in the morning, phone buzzing, blue light in a dark room, markets down 7%, the notification screaming at you to do something. 5 years pass. Down 7%. Wojak still drives the same pickup with the broken air conditioner, never went back into the market after that morning in the Walmart parking lot, has about $3,000 in a savings account that inflation is quietly devouring, $400 of purchasing power gone without him feeling a thing. He checks stock prices sometimes. Every time his stomach twists, he knows what he did. He just can't say it out loud. Cope Wojak is worse. He didn't learn. Tried to time the next dip, and the next one, each time absolutely certain he'd spotted the pattern. He hasn't. His account balance looks like a heart monitor during cardiac arrest. Up, crash, 37 trades over 5 years. Down a total of $4,200 from where he started. Still posting rocket emojis online. Still convinced his big moment is one headline away. Pepperoni sits at his kitchen table. Same home-brewed coffee. Same used Toyota in the driveway. Nothing about his life looks different from the outside, but his account, the one he set up once and never touched, reads just above $67,000. He put in money every 2 weeks for 5 years, about $26,000 of his own cash total. The rest, over $41,000, is pure growth. Money that made money that made money. And those shares he bought during the Trump tariff crash, up more than 40%. The single best piece of his entire account, because he bought them while everyone else was screaming. Same crash, same economy, same country. 3 lives that couldn't look more different. The only variable was what they did at 4 in the morning when the phone buzzed. Drop a comment right now. Which one are you? Wojak, Cope Wojak, or Pepperoni? Be honest. I read every single one. And if you're Wojak today, that's fine. Every Pepperoni used to be Wojak. The difference is what you do after this video. The market doesn't care about your feelings. Doesn't care about tariffs or trade wars or who sits in the Oval Office. It cares about one thing only, time. Give it time and it builds your future. Refuse and you're just Wojak in a parking lot, handing your money to someone who understood the rules you didn't. Your move.